Okay, we're going to get started. I'll try to speak a little bit louder. I'm a little bit further away, but hopefully it should be fine. We're going to be learning tonight Daf Samech Vav, and we're starting at the very last line on Daf Samech He and the Beis, starting at a new Mishnah. This Mishnah is going to speak about those who have some serious injuries, and therefore, due to their injuries, they are going to have to wear some prosthetics, and that does play out. My roommate, when I was in Shalvi, my roommate had a prosthetic leg. So he would lean it against the wall every night. So there are some shilas in halacha. What happens when you're walking in a reshus harabim on Shabbos? Is that considered a beged? Is that considered a tachshit? Is that considered mutter or usher? And let's just right out of the gates take a look at the first line of this Mishnah on Samech He and Beis. The last line reads, "Hakiteya yotze bekav shelo dibri Reb Meir." Reb Meir held that if there was a kiteya, someone who's missing one leg, so the din is yotze bekav shelo. He's allowed to go out with his kav, with his wooden leg. And if you take a look at Rashi adds a little bit of lumdus here that's very important for how we progress in the Gemara. And Rashi says, last line, last Rashi, Dibur Maschel Yotze B'Kav Shelo Dimin Al Didei. That's his shoes. So our shoes, Baruch Hashem, if we have legs, our shoes start at our ankles. They start at our feet. His shoe starts at his knee. It's just his shoe. And the lumdus it makes sense. We can kind of sort of hear it. And that's considered his minal. That's the sheet of Reb Meir. For Reb Yossi Oser, Reb Yossi forbids this. We will see in the Gemara that there's a discussion about who actually holds what. Is Reb Meir the Machmir or the Mekel? There seems to be an argument about the gears of our Gemara. Adds in regards to this din, adds in the Mishnah a caveat to our din. If there's space inside the receptacle for the leg of the prosthetics for ketitin, for these small pieces of fabric, so then that doesn't work. Then tameh, that would not be allowed. Sorry, someone just asked a question. Can he wear a shoe on the leg? I have no idea. Good question. I have no idea. Sounds like it would be carrying to me. Just off the cuff. It's totally unnecessary. Shoe is a kli, so it's makabel tuma. You don't really need the shoe. It's aser, but I'm not sure. Good question. The next case of the Mishnah progresses in the medical world to someone who has no legs. They're missing both feet, at the ankles, at the knees, wherever it is. The Mishnah here doesn't distinguish. Smuchos shelo tmein medris. That when there's a person who's wearing two prosthetics or two pieces of leather at the bottoms of what would be the stumps of his legs, let's just assume for the sake of our Mishnah that we're discussing someone who has his legs cut off at his knees, then Tmei and Medris. Then we assume that if he's a Zav, then he's Tamei Medris, and the status of his Tuma as an Ava Tuma for being a Zav. Remember, this is a very unique din. We've learned this a number of times already, that when you have a Zav, if a Zav puts all of his weight on something, then there's Tumas Medris, and the Ava Tuma status of the Zav transfers over to his bed, to his Moshav, to his Mishkav, and even here as well, it would transfer over to the Smuchos, to that which he is leaning upon, be they shoes, be they leather, be they prosthetics, whatever they are, Tmei and Medris. And while it's true that they're Tamei Medris, but B'Yotze, B'hen B'Shabbos, he still is allowed to go out with them on Shabbos for the same logic that Rashi said on the bottom of the previous Amud in the name of Reb Meir, that this is Dimin al Didei. These are his shoes. These are just the way he walks. Okay, we walk differently. That's how he walks. V'nichnasin B'hen B'Azara, and adds in the Mishnah, we know the din that one is not allowed to go into the mikdash with their shoes on. The Mishnah is just adding in here when it says v'nichnas bohen b'azara, it's really highlighting the fact that these are considered shoes. This is considered his minal. So the next case is where someone is paralyzed or their legs are mutilated in a way where they're not capable of walking at all. So they have a kisei, they have a low chair, the smuchos shelo. Basically, they're kind of sitting. It's some type of contraption where you use your hands to push you and you kind of slide forward on a seat. It's the earliest version of a wheelchair, similar to what we might be used to as a wheelchair. There we would say Tmei and Medris. He's putting his weight on top of this chair, and therefore he'd be Tamei Medris. That if he was a Zav, he'd transfer his Av Hatuma status down to that which he is leaning upon. The Ein Yotzim Bohen b'Shabbos, he does not go out. And again, to apply Rashi's Lumdus, these are not shoes anymore. The chair is not a shoe. It's unfortunate that he can't be so mobile on Shabbos outside of his home. It's unfortunate, but it is different now than a pair of shoes. It's moving around with a wheelchair. This raises other shilas. We'll see one later today at the very last line of this page about using a cane on Shabbos, which is brought in Shulchan Aruch. Can someone use a cane? Can someone not use a cane? How much do they need it? How much do they not need it? And then adds in our Gemara, our Mishnah on the 5th or 6th line, that if a person is a double amputee or paralyzed, and the only way they can move is with this small chair and with these covers on their amputee, on the point of the amputation. So then the din is that they cannot be nichnas bahen ba'azara. And what that basically teaches us is that they don't have a status of shoes. The last din of our Mishnah says, luktimin. Someone has luktimin. We'll see in Rashi what this is, and then Rashi is really just kind of foreshadowing what we're going to see in the Gemara in the next Amud. Luktimin tehorin ve'ein yotze bahen. Take a look at Rashi. Dibur hamaschil luktimin. Rashi is 2/3 of the way down. There were a lot of Rashis on these first few lines of Gemara in our Mishnah that we skipped. Rashi looked him in 2/3 of the way down, says Talmashka. You can see the word mask in there. And in fact, that's what Rashi says. Nasin lischok lahav is tinokos. It is something that's made to play and or to induce fear, to scare children. It's a scary mask. You know, for those of you who ever saw the movie Scream, that's a scary mask. And for years, people used to wear that on Purim. So that would be this kind of mask, says the Gemara. Very interesting that Rashi chose this, because when we get to the next Amud, we're going to see that it's not so pashut what this is. There's a 3-way machlokes as to what luktimin are. Why did Rashi pick this? Rashi's paskening on the Gemara. The Gemara didn't pasken on the Gemara. So Rashi's a Rishon. So in the methodology of learning, that's what Rishonim do. Rishonim look at that which is confusing, that which is a machlokes potentially in our Gemara. And when there's no clear rule as to who we should pasken like, we then fall back on the Rishonim and we lean on them to paskin for us. And this is how Rashi paskins on that upcoming machlokas. Opens the Gemara with a really interesting discussion. Now, before we start the Gemara, keep one hand right there by the Gemara and then look back at the beginning of our Mishnah. And we said that Akitea Yotze B'kav Shelo Divrei Reb Meir. What if we would have added the word ein to the beginning of our Mishnah? Ein hakitea yotze b'kav shelo. It would have totally made the exact opposite din. Right now, the way our Mishnah stands is that someone who has one leg amputated and he's wearing a prosthetic, he's allowed to go out. That's the sheet of Rav Meir. So now go back to our Gemara. Amar le Rav Rav Nachman hechitnan. Which version of the Mishnah do you have? Do you have the Mishnah like we have it, or do you have the Mishnah where with the word ein, that Rav Meir's sheet says the opposite? It's in the negative, not in the positive. It's in the isser, but not in the heter of going out with a prosthetic. And he says, Amar le lo yadana. This is Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman was a 3rd century Amora. I mean, these people knew everything. How did he not know the answer? So it must be that this wasn't yet a clear part of the Masorah. We were 100 years at this point outside of the first time, maybe a couple hundred years, out of the first time that we had ever written down our Masorah. We know that writing down the Mishnayos was Asr. So that was, we only were matir that because of Eis La'asos L'Hashem Eferu Sorah Secher. Yehuda Nasi took the bull by the horns. He said, I'm afraid for our Masorah. And because I'm afraid for our Masorah, so therefore I'm going to write down all of the Torah Shebaal Peh. So maybe not everything was yet in transmission. We don't know everything yet. Just like we learned yesterday. There was a Gzera Shava that showed up on the scene after he made a drasha. So not everything was organized like today's libraries. Not everything was Masudar. So Rav Nachman just didn't know the answer. So then he said back to him, Hilchas Hamay, how do we paskin? Do we paskin like the Rav Meir of our Mishnah or like Rav Yossi in our Mishnah? So says the Gemara, Amar le lo yadana, I don't know. A little bit, really a little bit earlier in the Amoraim, just because Rav Nachman didn't know doesn't mean other Amoraim didn't know. Itmar, Amar Shmuel, ein hakitea. Says Shmuel, our Mishnah is not like we have it. If you look back again at our Mishnah, we said that someone who is a kitea, who has one leg that's been amputated, so we said he's allowed to go out. Says Shmuel, no. The gears of our Mishnah is wrong. It should be ein hakitea yotze b'kav shelo. V'chein amar Rav Huna, back in our Gemara, v'chein amar Rav Huna agrees ein hakitea. So now it seems if we were to stop at this point, that the dinim would flip. The way that it would work is that the first shita would be Rav Meir, who would be Oser, and then at the top of Samach Vav Amud Aleph, where it says Rav Meir Oser, it would be Rav Meir Matir. The shitas flip. So that's these two shitas now in the Gemara of Shmuel and Rav Huna, that they believe that the Tanakama Rav Meir was of the opinion of Ein Hakitea, that an amputee is not allowed to go out with his prosthetics, and Rav Yossi is Matir. Amar Rav Yosef says, Hoil v'Amar Shmuel, Ein hakitea. Amar Rav Huna ein hakitea, because these two greats, Shmuel and Rav Huna, because they were of the opinion that our Mishnah didn't start with kitea, but rather ein hakitea, namely because our Mishnah is now in this new version, in this new text, in this new girsa, to say that one who has a prosthetic is not allowed to go out on Shabbos in the name of Rav Meir. Therefore, anan nami nisne ein hakitea. We're going to agree with these great Amoraim, with Shmuel and with Rav Huna, that Rav Meir was of the opinion that one is not allowed to go out with a prosthetic. And then at the top of Samach Vav Amud Aleph, it would read Rav Meir matir. So that's how they learned our Gemara. Maskifla Rabbi Bar Shira. Rabbi Bar Shira asked a question. Wait a minute. Lo Shmielu, did you not hear? Hademasni le Rav Chanan Bar Rava. That which Rav Chanan Bar Rava taught to Lechia Bar Rab, Kamei de Rab. That which Rav Chia Bar Rab taught in front of his Rebbe Rab. The kituna. A kituna was like a little, like a side room off the base medrash. That was like Rab's office, kaviyachol, whatever the actual, what the room looked like, we don't know. Was it a cubicle type? We don't know. But anyways, in that room, Debei Rab, didn't you hear what was taught in that room? What happened in that room? Says the Gemara, they said in front of him, they said in front of Rav, Ein hakitea yotze b'kav shelo. This is the new gear. So the gears of Shmuel, the gears of Rav Huna, and the gears of Rav Yosef. He said, Ein hakitea yotze b'kav shelo dibi Rav Meir v'Rav Yosi matir. Umachvilei Rav ipuch. Rav said no. Rav made a hand motion to say the opposite. This is what happened. They said to Rav, don't we hold that the Mishnah in Maseches, it wasn't structured this way at that time. We have a relatively new, this is only a few hundred years old, the format of the Gemara that we have. This is from the 14, 15, 1600s. So don't we know that our Mishnah says, Ein hakiteh, that Rav Meir was Osir, and Rav went like this. It's the other way. He made a hand motion. Umach vilei Rav ipuch. Rav said, no, it's the opposite. So Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, it must be that that's the case because the simana samech samech. It must be that that's the case because look at the very top three words of our Gemara. The Reb Yosi Oser, samech samech. The samech in Yosi and the samech in Oser, that is the din. And the Chachamim made a mnemonic to help us remember that that is the din. And that is, in fact, how we paskin. And now, the shitas that we learned earlier that had our Mishnah with a different girsa, they're all going to turn right back to this new language of Rav. Says the Gemara, just about halfway down. V'af Shmuel hadarbe. Even Shmuel, who we learned earlier, said that our Mishnah was really ein hakitea, that Rav Meir was the machmir on prosthetics and not the lenient. V'af Shmuel hadarbe ditnan in regards to the mitzvah of chalitza. Chaltza b'sandal she'eno shelo. If chalitza was done with a sandal that was not his, b'sandal shel eitz, this is going to be us, with a sandal that's made out of wood. O shel smol b'yamin, you took the left shoe instead of on the right foot. Chalitza kshera. In all of those cases, the chalitza is kshera. What do we see? That a wooden shoe is considered to be a shoe. That's our Mishnah. The Amrinan my taima, the Amrinan man tana, and we said, who is the author of such a shita? Amar Shmuel Rav Meir he. Who is Rav Shmuel quoting? Our Mishnah. Ditnan hakitea yotze bekav shel divrei Rav Meir Rav Yosi Oser. So now we have an explicit source that Shmuel backtracked on his initial impression of our Mishnah, on his initial assumption of the gears of our Mishnah. He thought it was Ein Hakiteh, that Rav Meir was the Machmir, and now he has retracted and he holds that really Rav Meir is the Mekel. And that's the Mari Makom that supports that Shmuel backtracked, and now we have pretty much almost all of the sources in line with our current version of our Mishnah, that it doesn't start with Ein, but rather it starts with Hakiteh Yotze B'kav Shelo Divrei Rav Meir. Says the Gemara, right halfway down, Rav Huna hadarbe. Even Rav Huna, remember we started out by saying that Shmuel and Rav Huna, they were the ones who said that yes, our Mishnah is really Ein Hakiteh, the alternate girsa. So we saw that Shmuel backtracked. Now we're going to see how Rav Huna backtracked. Rav Huna hadarbe detanya, sandal shel sayadin tamei medras, the shoes of a sayadin, people who worked with lime, they were kind of like maybe painters, or they worked with plaster, these types of people. They were afraid to ruin their shoes. So they had special shoes that they overlaid on their, it's today's, whatever they're called, neos, these things you put over your shoes. But theirs were made out of wood. So let's see what happened. V'isha choletzes ba, a woman can do chalitza with it. V'yotzein bo b'Shabbos tivei Rabbi Akiva, and one is allowed to go out on Shabbos in these shoes. This was the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. V'lo hodulo, and they did not. The Chachamim did not agree with Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara. V'atanya, wait a minute. We have a brayso that says hodulo that they did agree with Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara. Who's who? Amar Rav Huna man hodulo. Rav Huna, remember who Rav Huna is? Rav Huna was the one that said that our Mishnah was Ein Hakiteh, in the negative. He said that Rav Meir held that a prosthetic was Aser. So Amar Rav Huna man hodulo, who was the one who admitted that it is permissible to use a wood shoe, that the Saya, that this man who is a painter, this guy who works with plaster, that he's allowed to wear this wood shoe, who's the one who agrees to that? Rav Meir. Which Rav Meir? Our Rav Meir from our Mishnah. Hakitea Yotze Bekav Shelo Divrei Rav Meir. So this is how we see that in fact Rav Huna he backtracked. Uman lo hodulo. Uman lo hodulo. That's the shita of Rabbi Yossi. That was the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. However, there was another shita on the person who didn't backtrack, who was the other opinion, the other brisa that said lo hodulo. Amar Rav Yosef. The girsa is a little difficult here. Amar Rav Yosef man lo hodulo. Who is the one who did not agree with Rabbi Akiva? Uman lo hodulo. That is Rav Yochanan ben Nuri. Ditnan kaveras shel kash bishvul feres shel kanem. Rabbi Akiva metame. Rav Yochanan ben Nuri metaher. In regards to a straw mat and in regards to a tube that was made of reeds, we see that Rabbi Akiva was metame and Rav Yochanan ben Nuri was mataher. What is it? What do we see from here? How do we see that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri doesn't agree with what we've been learning? Take a look at Rashi. Rashi here is in the second of the middle width lines, about 3-4 inches below where we are, and says Rashi, Dibur Hamasil Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri metaher, Delav Urcha Lasos Mikash Elamikonim. To make a mat out of straw was not right. Normally it was made out of reeds. It was made in an abnormal way. Umin al nami, shoes too. This is a tzushtal that Rashi makes. We don't have this in the Gemara, but we needed to understand how this connects back to our Mishnah Bichlal, because our Mishnah is talking about a wood prosthetic. So it says Rashi, Umin al nami, lav orche mi eitz, elami or zeh lashon rabosa. And then Rashi goes on to explain a different shita, but nevertheless, that's what we can see from Rav Yochanan ben Nuri, that it's not normal to use a shoe that's made out of wood, and he would be the dissenting opinion. Very good. So now we have all of the shitas make perfect sense. And let's just review. Sikum hadvarim. We started out our Mishnah our Gemara by asking the question: is the girsa of our Mishnah right? Do we start out by saying that Rav Meir was the matir in regards to prosthetics and Rav Yossi was the oser? That's our girsa. Or do we have an alternate girsa where we say that Rav Meir was the machmir? He was the stringent one in regards to wearing a prosthetic. Masha ein kain, Rav Yossi would have been the mekil. Kamash malan, after all the Marim Mikomos over the last 3/4 of a daf, we now see that the shita of our Mishnah, the text of our Mishnah is accurate, that Rav Meir was the Mekil and Rav Yossi was the Oser. Says the Gemara 3/4 of the way down. Omar Mar, sandal shel sayadim tamei medras. A sandal, as we pointed out, these wooden shoes that someone who works with plaster, one of these workers would wear over their own shoes, they're tamei medras. Remember, tamei medras, if the person was a zav, then he transfers his status of av hatuma into the shoes, or onto the shoes is probably a better way to say it. Says the Gemara, why? Halav lehilucha abid. They're avdei. They're not made to be walked around in. They're only made to work in. They're literally workers' shoes. We had someone come into our house to fix our oven a few weeks ago. He came in. He put on those little footies that you wear over your shoes. They're made out of that. They're like from hospitals. They're like this little cloth material. They're a little nothing. They're not made to walk around outside. So there should be no tumas medras there. They're not regular shoes. So why would the tumas medras transfer? So says the Gemara, you're right that they're not regular. However, this guy who's a sayad, the guy who works with plaster, Amar Rav Acha bar Rav Ula, shekin hasayad metayel bo ad shemagia lebeso. He's at least willing to walk around in them from the house that he's working in to get back to his house. And that's enough. It passes the threshold of making something into a shoe, and therefore one would be held accountable for wearing it on Shabbos, and they are not allowed to do so. Let me rephrase. Therefore, there would be tumas medras. It has a status of tumas medras, and one is therefore going to transfer the tuma of the zav status of the person wearing the shoes onto the shoes. Says the Gemara at the 2 dots toward the bottom. Samach Vav Amud Aleph. The Yeshlo Beis Kibul Ketitin Tameh. We said that this was the first case of the Mishnah where someone was a single amputee. He has one leg that's amputated. We said that if there's room inside the Beis Kibul, inside the receptacle space where the stump of the amputation goes, if there's room for other materials, Tameh, then it's Tameh. It's considered a kli. This was in fact what my roommate did. He had a sleeve that he would wear to make it more comfortable. Amar Abaye, Machlokas Amoraim, Abaye and Rabbi. Tamei tumas meis for sure. It would be subject to tumas meis, but the ein tamei medras. But in this case, says Abaye, the prosthetics would not be tamei medras. We just learned that the shoes were tamei medras from 3 lines ago. How could the prosthetic not be tamei medras? So we'll see how Abaye explains his shita. Rava Amar af tamei medras. He says no, it's even tamei medras. And let's explain each shita. Amar Rava says, I who say that this prosthetic, this singular prosthetic, is shayach to tumas medras mino amin Allah. What's my Mari Makom? It's none, because we can learn out from the case of a child who's in a stroller. Agala shel katan tamei medras. So says Rabbi, if a katan who's being pushed in a stroller and the katan is a zav for whatever reason, if he's tamei, so then the agala is now tamei tumas medras. It's going to have the same status as the child who's a zav. So says the Gemara in the name of Rava, it must be from here that we see that the same should be true by the prosthetics. He makes an equivalence between these two things, between the agala, where the baby's being pushed around in it, and the prosthetic that the man is walking in. So says Abaye, what kind of comparison is that? The Abaye Amar Hasam, over there by the agala, samich ilave. The whole weight of the child is lying down on the agala. Of course, there's going to be tamei tumas medrash. That's his whole essence is lying inside that stroller. So he's going to be totally considered tamei. Hacha, but here in regards to the prosthetic in one leg, lo samich ilave. He has another leg. He's not fully putting his weight on that one prosthetic. So Abaye makes this distinction, this chiluk. It's an important chiluk between an agala, which holds the whole weight of the child, masha'in kain, in regards to this singular prosthetic, where Abaye says that it should not have tumas medras. It's also, there's a raya to this as well. Look in our Mishnah, second line of our Mishnah. We said by the smuchos, where he's a double amputee and he's wearing braces accordingly. So what does the Gemara say there? Tmei and medras. Why? Because it's both legs. This is a good raya for Abaye's shita and very difficult for Rava. It's not the Gemara's question. It just seems to pop out from the Mishnah because the second case doesn't imply. It says explicitly that it would be tumas medras if both legs were amputated. So what does Rava say? If Abaye doesn't accept Rava, so what's Abaye's Mari Makom? That there's no tumas medras in regards to someone who has a singular prosthetic. Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, 2 lines from the bottom. From where can I tell you that this person is wearing only one prosthetic? How do I know that he's not going to be tamei tumas medras? That if in fact this person's a zav, he's wearing one prosthetic limb, that the tumah of this person does not transfer onto the prosthetic. Says the Gemara, Tanya Makel Shal Zakanim Tahor Miklum. That if you have a cane of an elder person, Tahor Miklum, it is never going to be subject to Tumah. Take a look at Rashi, Dibur Hamaschel, Tahor Miklum, 5 lines from the bottom. Lo Medras v'lo Shar Tumah, says Rashi. It's not shaykh for any Tumah. It's not shaykh for Tumas Medras if the person's a Zav. And it's also not shaykh for Shar Tumah for other forms of tumah as well. Lo matame tumas medrash. This is important. This is what we need right now from Rashi. Why is there no tumas medrash? Mishum delav l'smicha aviv. He's not using it to hold its weight. Ella, delav smicha avid she'al raglo mahalech. He's able to walk with his legs, meaning he's not really dependent on that thing entirely. That's us. That's exactly our case. That was his argument to Rava when Rava said, look at the stroller. Abaye said, no, he's not. The kid's totally reliant on the stroller. But when you're wearing a one prosthetic, so then there's no reason for tumas medrash. That's this case. Go back in the Gemara now. Detanya makel shel zakenim tarmi klum. When we see that there's some type of support device, the cane, says Abaye, is more similar to the prosthetic limb than is the agala, and that's his marimakum. The Rava. What would Rava say? Why is it that the case of the makel, the case of the cane that Abaye just quoted, is not a good raya? Hasam, turning to the top on Samach Vav Amud Beis, says the Gemara, Litrutze sugya avida. There, says Rava, he's doing that for a different reason. He's doing that for his posture. He's not using it for supporting him, for helping him to walk. He can walk without it. It's for a totally isolated reason, which is because he's using it for his posture. That's where, says Rava, that's where the cane is going to be totally tahor. Masha'ain cane, according to Rava, the prosthetic would still be tamei tumas medras. Hacha, but over here in regards to the prosthetic, lismochi lavehu de avida. That it was made to be leaned upon, and look what he's doing. Okay, it's not both legs, but it's one leg. So that's the machlokes. Do we say that the prosthetic is similar to an agala, where a child is fully supported, or do we say it's similar to a cane, where it's only used for a secondary purpose? And that brings us to the 2 dots on the top of Daf Samach Vav Amud Beis. Says the Gemara, Tmein medres ve'ein yotzin bohen b'Shabbos ve'ein nichnasin bohen bo'azara. We said in our Mishnah that, just make sure which case this is. This is the case of the kisei of whatever the similar case of the wheelchair, whatever it is. So in such a case, we said that there's tumas medras. That we know from the lumdus of our Gemara because he's putting all of his weight on that. That's for sure going to be tamei tumas medras. The tuma will transfer if he's a zav. The ein yotzin behen b'Shabbos. We pointed that out in the Mishnah already that he is not allowed to go out on Shabbos. It's considered carrying. The ein nichnasim behen lazar. He can't go into the makam hamikdash because it's not considered to be barefoot. Tani Tana Kamid Rav Yochanan. There was a Tana who was in front of Rav Yochanan. Tana. What does a Tana mean? Rav Yochanan was an Amor. So it means that a Rav was in front of Rav Yochanan. Nichnasin bohen la'azara. I have a Mari Makom that says you're allowed to go into the Azara in this wheelchair. Omar Lei. Rav Yochanan snaps back at him. Omar Lei. Shona Isha choletzesbo. I taught you a din on the previous Amud that with this kind of shoe, a woman's allowed to do chalitza, which means that it's a shoe. Ve'at amris nichnasin, and you're trying to argue that you can go in, it's for sure a shoe. You can't argue that you're allowed to go into the mikdash. You must be wrong in your girsa, in your mari makom. Therefore, Tani, ein nichnasin bohen la'azara. Must be the other way. Luktimin, we said in our Mishnah that there was this case of Luktimin. In our Mishnah, just scanning back quickly, our Mishnah said that Luktimin was tahor, and a person could not go out with it on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, my Luktimin. Amar Rabbi Abahu, Chamra de Akva. This was some type of something that like a clown would wear. It would have shoulder straps, and it would look like he was riding on an animal. Something along those lines. It was a shtick. It was a type of costume that he would wear. Rava bar Papa Amar Kshire, these were some kind of stilts. Rava bar Rav Huna Amar Parme, that these were masks. And of course, as mentioned, this is what Rashi said on the previous Amud was pshat in our Gemara. So look to me in our Mishnah, seemingly if we follow Rashi, have to do with masks. Next Mishnah, first of the widest lines on the page, of Bava Mabez.
We're wearing masks now.
Are you wearing
right this minute, but outside when we go out, we wear masks now.
Oh, you're talking about, I thought you were talking about clowns. Okay, you're talking about COVID-19. That's true. Yeah. That's a good shaila to ask. Is that considered carrying on Shabbos? Is it a malbush? I don't know if you could learn that from here, because this was for a clown. But mistama would be mutter. We'll see from the bottom of the page today that it should be mutter for other reasons. Good point. I was totally thinking in clown land when you were talking, so I didn't.
And also big pharma, the pharma.
Oh, okay. That can be for your Purim Torah. The next Mishnah opens up. Habanim yotzim b'ksharim. Boys are allowed to go out with things tied around them. We'll see what that means. It's around their hands. Ubnei malachim, and kings can go. The children of malachim, princes, can go out bezugim with bells on them. But really, this is true v'chol adam. This applies to everyone. Elashadibru chachamim behove. This really applies to everyone. They were only talking the chachamim in regards to that which was relevant to all people, but it applies to anyone who wants to wear them. Says the Gemara, Mike Sharim. What does the Gemara? What does the Mishnah mean? Habanim yotzim b'ksharim. What kind of ksharim? What are we talking about? Two answers. Here's answer number one that will get rejected. Amar Ada Mari, the person's name. Amar Rav Nachman bar Baruch. Amar Rav Ashi bar Avin. Amar Rav Yehuda. A lot of names. Kshure poa. We're talking here about something that was used for refuah. The word pua sounds like very close to refuah. Take a look at Rashi. Dibur Hamaschil. Ada Mari, fourth line of all of the Rashis, and blending into the first of the shorter lines of Rashi. Just kidding, the fifth line only. Kishrei Pua, a gartzana, a French word that I don't know what it means. Kosherin b'ksharim v'tolen b'tzavar l'refua. It was some type of thing that you'd wear around your neck for refuah, for healing. V'lo yadati le'ezeh choli. Says Rashi, I don't know what choli it is. Other Mar Mekomos here say that it's for any choli. It just depends. The Rishonim had a different look on all of these different phrases. Amar Abaye, fourth line of the wider lines. Amar Abaye, Amar Li'aim, my mother told me. Amar Li'aim. Abaye was an orphan. This wasn't his mother. Amar Li'aim means the woman who raised him. And I think I mentioned this before, that the name Abaye was not his real name. According to some, his name was Nachmeni. And Abaye is Av Hashem, that Hashem was his father, but Abaye was just a nickname. But Amar Li'aim is a reference to his adoptive mother. And she had told him, Tlasa Mukme, if you wear 3 of them, it stabilizes your illness. Chamisha Masu, if you have 5, it heals your illness. Shiva, if you wear 7 of these kinds of healing things around your neck. Filu l'kshafim male, it could even prevent you from being exposed to kshafim, to evil spirits. Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, when is it true that this thing that you'd hang around your neck, which was a plant derivative, when is it true that it would work? Behu, and this is impossible, behu delo chazi le shimsha, provided that the plant did not see the sun, the sierra did not see the moon, below chazi mitra did not see the rain, below shmiya le kol barzala, and it did not hear the sound of any metal clanking against one another, v'kol tarnagolta, and it didn't hear any animals making any sounds, or any hens making any sounds, v'kol nigre, and it didn't hear the sounds of any footsteps. What kind of plant is that? That doesn't happen. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, nafal pusa bebira, just throw it out. Just throw it into the pit. This is a totally useless thing now. You've made it impossible to access. Not only that, but ma'ir yabanim. If what you're talking about, if the ksharim of our Mishnah are talking about something for refuah, why is it only talking about boys? It should be true for girls also. Afilu banos nami. And ma'ir yaktanim. Who cares if they're a kid? We don't allow a kid to do muksa on Shabbos just for kicks. There has to be a reason. And if it's true by yaktanim, afilu gdolam nami. Ella, therefore, the Gemara presents a different answer, a second answer as to what kshar means, and with this, the Gemara concludes as to what kshar mar. Elamai ksharim, says the Gemara, Kihada Amar Avin Bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama Bar Gurian, Ben Sheish Ga'aguim Al Aviv, a son whose father is not around, out to war, not alive, a father who's not around, and this child has Ga'aguim, he misses him a lot. So what do you do to help the child to stabilize his emotions? This is not something we would do nowadays in a direct way, but maybe in concept. No tel ritzua miminal shel yamin, the kosher b'shel smolo. We would take out a shoelace from the right shoe of the father, and we would tie it on the left hand of the child as a reminder. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak v'simonech tefillin. We just follow basically the way we remember what hand to put it on the child is from tefillin. We take our right hand and we put it on our left. We take the father's right shoelace and we put it on the left. It says Gemara b'chilufa sakanta, but to reverse it, to take the left shoelace and to put it on the right hand is dangerous. And Rashi to our left, 2 inches up, points out sakanta shemiga'ageh yoser midai, because on his right hand he uses his right hand more. He sees it more, so he's going to see it far more often, and it's going to bring him to tremendous sadness. A little bit more than 1/3 of the way down. The rest of this Gemara is going to be about things that we don't really do nowadays in modern science, and you should not do any of these in modern science without speaking to a Rav and a posek and a trained medical professional. A lot of these things are not things that we do. The first one is a little bit more moderate. V'amar Avin bar Huna Amar Rav Chama bar Guria. Kasa atibure b'Shabbos shapir dami. If you take a hot empty cup, atibure, and you put it on your tibur, on your stomach, b'Shabbos shapir dami. So what they would do is they wanted to have some kind of heat compress. They take like a metal container, they'd fill it up with boiling hot water, and they dump it out. And the remaining heat that was contained inside the pot, they would just put that on their stomach to apply some heat to the stomach to give some relief. So that's shapir dami, no problem at all. That's not like refuah. Because you're not really doing anything. There's no medicine. You're not eating anything. You're not ingesting anything. You're just putting something hot on your stomach. Mutter. Amar Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria. Mutter lasuch shemen umelech b'Shabbos. You're allowed to take oil and salt, and you're allowed to anoint it on your body. Ki had Rav Huna mi bei Rav, the Rav mi bei Rav Chia, the Rav Chia mi bei Rabbi. 3 generations of great Amoraim from Rav Huna to is it 3? It's 4. From Rav Huna to Rav to Reb Chia to Rebbe. Ki havu mivseme, when they would be inebriated, when they'd be drunk. So they had a little methodology to get the hangover out of the way. And it's not what people do today, the joking cup of coffee. What do? Maisi mishcha umilcha. They take oil with salt, like we started talking about. The shaifi lay, and they would rub it against legviyasa diadaihu vigviyasa dekaraihu. They put it on the palms of their hands and on the palms of their feet. The amri, and they would say an incantation. Ki hechi detzil hai mishcha. Just like this oil is spreading out, leitzil chamra de planya bar planisa. Then you should also remove or thin out the effects of the wine of Planya, the person who drank, Bar Planisa, ben his mother. Always referencing the mother's name when it comes to healing. We'll see at the bottom of the Gemara why that's true on this Amud today. So we'll get there soon. If that doesn't work to remove your hangover, Maisi Shia Didana, you should take a clay seal that was used on a barrel, the Shari Lebemaya, and you should soak it in some water. Now, when you take clay and you put it in water, slowly but surely it begins to disintegrate right in front of you. The Amar, and here's your incantation you should say here. Just like this clay, seal is disintegrating in the water, leitzil chamre de planya bar planisa. So too you should thin out the impact of the wine that this person drank, this person planya bar planisa ben his mother. Amar Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Goria, the same person again. Mutter lechanek b'Shabbos, you are allowed to strangle someone on Shabbos. Fascinating. What does that mean? Mutter lechanek b'Shabbos. This is a machlokes in the Meforshim. According to some, it's considered some type of chiropractic technique where you do a manipulation in the bones or in the muscles of the neck. Some of the Meforshim speak about like a slip disc type of issue that they knew where to press. There is one sheet, I think it's the Ran. I don't remember where I saw this. I think it's the Ran who writes that no, you actually stop someone from having access to oxygen in their brain to actually heal them from something. I don't know what. Please do not try this at home. But this is a shita that is found in the Meforshim about mutar lechanek b'Shabbos. Just as a brief aside, halacha l'maisa, it is usher to do physical therapy on Shabbos. We had this with one of our children when they were born. One of my kids had torticollis. He's a twin, so there wasn't a lot of room. And he was born with his head in a funny position. We had to do physical therapy every day of the week, except for Shabbos. We weren't allowed to do it. No physical therapy allowed, no chiropractics allowed. This is assuming, of course, that someone's not in a tremendous amount of pain. That would then possibly change things. So we're about halfway down. But Amar Avin Barhuna, Amar of Chama Barguria, same Jew. Lefufe Yenuka b'Shabbos hashapir dami. If a child has limbs that need straightening on Shabbos, their bones are their bone, but they're not as hard as the bones of adults. So then one would be allowed to straighten them on Shabbos. That was not considered refuah. Rav Papa Masni Banim. Rav Papa taught Banim. It's a really kind of like a homily. He taught both of them were from one person. Rav Zvid Masni Ben, that only one of them came from one person. Rav Papa Masni Banim, the Tarvaihu Masni Luhuba Avin Barhuna. He said that both of these dinim that we just learned, these two previous dinim about Mutar Lechanek and Lefufe Yenuka, that both of them are from one person. They're from Avin Barhuna. Rav Zvid Masni Ben, only one. Kamaisa, the first was Masni Avin Barhuna. Behind in this last case of Lefufe Masni Rabbi Bar Barchana, a different address, a different person. Dama Rabbi Bar Chana Lefufe Yenuka b'Shabbos Shapir Dami. Of course, the Gemara just spent 3 lines indicating where they learned it from. Important, even though sometimes, especially at the pace that we learn at Daf a day, it's hard to remember all the Amoraim and all the Tanaim. It's going to be by the 3rd, 4th cycle, it'll start to click a little bit. But right now, it's hard to remember all the names and all of their places. But the Gemara does make an effort of making sure we know where the Marim Makomos lie. We are going to get to the bottom of the page, so just a few more minutes. Amar Abaye, Amar Li'aim, my mother told me, again, his adoptive mother, Kol minyane bishma de'ima. Whenever you do an incantation, it's always in the name of the mother. V'chol kitre bismala. And anytime you're tying a knot, it's always on the left. So the Gemara doesn't go on to explain these things. Each one has their own svara. We've famously heard, most of us I'm sure have heard, that we always daven in the name of the person, ben or bas, their mother, because a woman is malei rachamim. Men have more of midas hadin, a little bit more terse, a little less empathy, and women are masters in that arena, far better than we. So that's what could be what the Gemara is saying here. B'chol kitrei b'smala. Maybe this is the same idea that we saw earlier by the sheet of the Tosfos in regards to tying your shoes. Why do we always tie our shoes on the left first? Because tefillin is tied on the left arm. Could be. V'amar Abaye, Amar Li'aim, my mother also taught me another thing about incantations. Im kol minyane d'mefarshe k'd'mefarshe. If it says in the incantation to say it 15 times, then say it 15 times. But if you don't know, d'lo mifrashe arba im dechad zimne. If you don't, then you should say it 41 times. What's the gematria of 41? Aim. Was he talking about his mother? Was this his own shtick? Is this based on a deeper Masorah? Don't know. Tana Rabban, the rabbis taught us 2/3 of the way down. Yotzin be'even tekuma b'Shabbos b'Shabbos. Period. Sorry, I put that period in the wrong place here. That a woman is allowed to go out with an Evan Tekuma. Big discussion in the Meforshim. What is this? Is it a diamond? Is it a very unique type of device found in nature that a woman would wear to prevent miscarriages? You could even take something that's an equivalent weight of an Evan Tekuma and not even, let's say it was a diamond. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be that thing. As long as it was the same exact weight, you could wear that out as well. Even though, and this is like already in the heebie-jeebie spheres. It's understood that the tekuma had medical impact. Now you're going to weigh something out that's the same and it's going to have a medical impact? Says the Gemara, yes, that's perfectly mutter. Below shehipila, this doesn't only apply to a woman who's already, God forbid, lost a child. Elashema tapil, maybe she'll have a miscarriage. Even a woman who may never have been pregnant. Elashema tis aber tapil, maybe she'll get pregnant. She's married, possibly. Does she have to be married? The Gemara doesn't say. But even if she's not pregnant, we allow her to wear this tekuma or its equivalents in weight out in public on Shabbos. Amar Rav Yemar bar Shlamya mishmei de'abai v'hu de'ichvan ve'iskal. It has to be that it's measured exactly. If it's 1 pound, it's 1 pound. 1.5 pound, then the counterweight has to be exactly that much, and then you could wear the second weight. Boy, abai mishkal de mishkal mai. What if you say, I have the tekuma and it weighs 1 pound. I weighed out a second one, and that's also 1 pound. And now the third one, no, we don't go that far. We don't extend the medical benefits from the tekuma to the third item. The medical benefits of the tekuma were the tekuma itself, or the first stone that we weigh out against it, but not to the third one. What's the halacha there? Teku, I should say teku. We don't know the answer to that question. 3/4 of the way down. My mother told me, when someone has fever, Basyoma, during the day, what should he do? Lishkal zuzah chivra, you should take a white coin. Belezel lemalchasa, you should go to a place where there's a lot of salt. Belisko maskale milcha, maskale, tough and shin are interchangeable. Mishkale, you should take its weight in salt. Ulitzaire bachalala debeit savar benira debarka, and you should take that salt and put it in a container and wrap it up with like a string around the opening of your shirt, beit savar, with a nira barka, by the opening of your shirt, with some kind of strand of hair. Below, if that doesn't work, then lisov aparashas drachim, you should go to a place where the streets intersect. V'chichazu shum shimena gamla, when you see a large ant, Rashi says, the dari midi, he's carrying something big. I did a circumcision today, and I saw in someone's house there was an ant carrying something very big. Perfect time. That's exactly the daf we learned today. I smirked a little bit standing in their house. I had just learned this Gemara this morning, and this animal was sitting there trying to pick up this thing that was triple its size, and I don't know how much it weighed. So what do you do once you find this? You find this animal that's carrying a burden. Lishkale, you should take it. V'lishtie begufta denachsha, you should put it into a golden to a metal tube. The listime, and you should close it off be'avra with lead. The lichtime b'shisin gushpanki, and you should close it off with 60 coverings. Again, all homily. 60 coverings. What does the number 60 mean? It was wrapped up very, very tightly. And what do? Ulabar zule, and you should throw it. The lidre, and you should carry it. The leimale, and you should speak to the ant. If you do this, you may have other problems. We don't do these things nowadays. I'm going to take your burden. Your burden I can handle. But my fever that I'm trying to get away, you need to take it. How do you know which ant you're talking to? The Ravashi, the Dilma inish ashkeche, the ifsik. Maybe someone already did this with that ant. How do you know? Maybe what the peklach you're taking off of that ant is someone else's peklach that's very serious. Because if they already did this incantation, so then you need to be careful because it could be very dangerous for you. Elalema, what you should say, you should say to the ant a little differently. My burden and your burden. You're going to take both of them. V'ilo, if that doesn't work, Lishkal kuzachadata, you should take a new vessel. The lezel nahara, and you should take it to the river. The leimale, you should say to the river, Nahara uzpan kuza demaya. I'm going to take some of your water. The orcha de iklili, in regards to that which has happened to me, in regards to my fever. The lehadar shav zimne al reshe, and you should wave it around your head 7 times. This is one of the Mari Makomos, in fact, that we have for waving the chicken over our head during kaparos. And you should throw it behind you. The leimale nahara, and what you should say is shekol maya, take the water the yahavasli that you gave me, and the orcha the iklali, and also take that which I have my problem. I'm going to pour it onto you. I'm going to give you my fever. Please take it away from me. Yomi asa, yomi azal. I got the fever today, and on this very same day, if I follow these incantations, they can be taken away. Of course, not to be confused with that which is usher. We trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are methods of the madness. They're not the mastery themselves. We'll pause here for tonight. Daf Samach Zayin tomorrow night. Wishing you all a beautiful night.